Hey y'all, I'm cleaning some Birkenstocks, and I'm just gonna clean, and if you have questions, you ask. I'm gonna talk through what I'm doing. I have you at shoe level, so sorry you can't see my face. Okay, so we have this really super cute pair of Birks. They have like a textured leather, so there's not really a whole lot I can do to clean this. What I did do, I just did a time-lapse video, so I'll post that in a little bit, but I just took this brush here and I just kind of, just did one of these things because I don't want to affect these particular uppers too much, but just kind of like undusting them. I don't know, undusting, I don't know what that means. Anyway, but just to kind of, get the dirt off. Because again, with this kind of texture, there's not really a whole lot I can do. However, these are stinking freaking cute and I love them. So what we do when we do the tune-ups like this is we're gonna clean the cork, seal it, and then clean the straps best we can, and then we give you an idea of if there's anything that needs to be done to these shoes. These particular shoes, I don't see the need for a recraft because the footbed has not yet cracked. A lot of times it'll crack right here, especially on the Arizona, because that's the flex point of the shoe, right? So that's where the shoe bends, and the cork tends to crack right here. I don't see the need for that. I don't really see the need for a resole on these either. Obviously, we can see that this customer walks a little heavier on the outside of their foot, which that's totally normal. So there's things that can be done, like when you go to do a resole, we can do a heel tap where we have them add a piece of harder material to this area here, or wherever you're putting the majority of your weight. Sometimes it'll just be this corner here, and sometimes, just depending on how hard you walk, we can go all the way up to the top and go back like that, so that way you're not blasting through this material as quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I've already wiped down the cork, and basically all you do is you just take a wet t-shirt, no, just an old t-shirt, doesn't need to be wet. You can use just water and some mild soap. We have Simple Green that we use, so you just spray it on the rag, and then we don't want to seal in the dirt that's on the shoe, right? So I'm just gonna rub this down really quick, make sure there's not big giant chunks of dirt there, because who wants to seal in the dirt? That's gross. All right, so I'll put my rag over there, make sure it's not in your guys' way. All right, now we have had our cork seal for a very long time. You can keep this cork seal for a super long time, especially if you keep it in the refrigerator. That's what we do. We keep it in the refrigerator. So right now, sorry, I had a little disruption. That's words probably. That could absolutely be what the case may be, although this is on the left foot. So, but absolutely, yeah, you can for sure get that worn spot from wherever you're putting your shoe down when you're using your gas pedal. In my case, I have a stick, but actually we can see that hers is kind of the opposite. So she walks a little bit heavier on her left foot than she does on her right foot. But that's a great observation, Kurt. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I've cleaned the cork, so that way there's no dirt in here. Cork Life, I'm going to go ahead and apply it. We've had it in the refrigerator, so it's a little bit thicker than normal, but it just helps to keep it from drying out, because that's the last thing you want is for your cork seal to dry out. The bottles that you guys are getting nowadays, they are not like this. They are going to be in a squeeze tube with a sponge applicator. Yeah, sorry, because I have it facing me so that way I can see your guys' questions. Yeah, sometimes that reversed image kind of is crazy. Okay, so what I'm doing is I actually, for my cork seal, I have the tube, the squeeze tube, but I have a dedicated paintbrush that I use, so that way I can get right up alongside the edges of the straps without getting it on the straps. I'll come a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing here. So it's going to go on white and it's going to dry clear. And so we just want to make sure that we're only putting it on the exposed cork. Do not ever put this on the footbed of your shoe. The footbed is where the foot sits, the piece of suede that your foot sits on. Here's what happens. If you do this, it's very, very difficult for us to do a reline on these, because what happens is when we do a reline on certain styles, we can only do it on certain styles. When we do the reline, we put a solvent on this leather here to break up the adhesive that's underneath the suede, and then we pull it apart. If you seal your footbed, if you seal this part right here, it seals it into where that solvent is no longer going to penetrate it's not going to penetrate the glue that you've put on the top, then go through the suede, and then hit the adhesive that's underneath here. So just be really, really mindful when you're using your cork seal to never, ever, ever, ever put it here. No cork seal ever. Cork seal, no, never. Cork seal only goes on the cork to seal the cork. This is leather, and this is cork. I just can't even stress it enough. Don't put the cork seal on your footbed. What'll end up happening is we'll probably end up having to do a recraft on your shoe, which isn't, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not ideal to have to spend money on a recraft if you don't absolutely need to. So just make sure that you're reading all the directions on your stuff that you get when you get the cleaning kits from us. And then, you know, do your research. Like, we have videos out there on our YouTube channel showing you how to use all this stuff. So just make sure that you're really paying attention to the products that you're using. So what the cork seal does is it's going to prevent your cork from drying out. I mean, it's natural material. It's made out of cork and latex. That's what your footbed is made out of. So you want to make sure that you are maintaining that all natural product and not allowing it to, you know, dry out and crack and get brittle and all that. So this just helps prevent that from happening. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, like, you're not going to completely prevent that from happening. In certain areas, like where I said earlier, the flex point of the shoe, it's going to crack there eventually, just because with you wearing the shoe, the pressure of you bending the shoe and everything, it's gonna mess it up, you know what I mean? But it takes time for that to happen. It's really more so about the mileage that you're putting on your shoes than the amount of time that you've had your shoes, if that makes any sense. If you've had your shoes for 2 years and nothing has happened, you probably have other Birkenstocks that you're, you know, rotating through, or other shoes you're rotating through, which is good. But if it's your sole pair of shoes, that's probably going to happen a lot quicker than not. Okay, so it goes on, your cork seal is going to go on white. And then, as you can see, this one's been drying for a little bit. It'll dry clear. This particular batch of Cork Life that I have is a shiny finish. Lately, they've been doing a matte finish. So if you've purchased the tubes from us within the last year or so, it's going to have a matte finish, not a shiny finish. But if you know that you covered that and you got that all white, like if we look at this, we know that I have covered that cork. So then, sorry, I'm reading what you just said. Yeah, my roommate, her same thing. Her right foot, it's absolutely blasted out on the sole of her shoe from where she puts her foot down on the floorboard. That totally happens. There's many different ways that you can wear down the sole material on these. I'm a very heavy heel walker, so I blast through the heels on my shoes all the time. Anyway, so when you're applying your cork seal, if you know for a fact that you have covered it, it was white, and then now it's dry, but it doesn't have the shiny finish, but you know that you've sealed it. So just, you know, just be mindful of that. Like, if you know you got it covered, you're covered. You're good. You don't need to do anything else. So I'm going to move on to another pair. Sorry about that. I'm going to move on to another pair. Let's go with a pair of... Let's do these ones. I'm going to do these uppers. This is a color they don't do anymore. Honestly, I don't know the name of the color because this is before my time here. But it is a really nice oiled leather, and as we can see, there's some staining on here. So I'm going to put some love into the uppers of this shoe and see how awesome we can make them look. So what I'm going to use is a nubuck block. Sorry, I didn't have that out already. So there's different kinds of nubuck blocks out there. Now, mind you, we've been doing this for a very long time. So we have all different kinds of versions of nubuck blocks. Like, I have one that's a little bit more on the sandy side. Like, it definitely falls apart more. There's this one that looks like an eraser that you would have at school. I mean, but you can see, like, we've had these for a long time, and it takes a long time for these to wear out. If you're getting the new kit from us, then it will look a little bit more like this, in that it will have a brush on one side. This one doesn't have it, but this area right here would be the nubuck block. And we're gonna use this as an eraser, essentially. So I see that there is some staining on the top of this shoe. I'm going to gently go over this with the nubuck block. I'm not gonna go crazy bananas because I don't want to ruin the finish. Honestly, it would take a lot for me to ruin the finish of this shoe. But I just want to start gentle and see what I can get done. So I'm laying it on a flat surface. Hey, Shar.
Hi.
Hey. So I'm just erasing it like as if I just wrote the wrong answer on my sheet of paper. Just kind of pulling up some of this. So now it's if you have an oiled finish like this, it's going to pull up the oils that are on the surface, but that's okay because we're going to go back over it and oil it again. But I just want to remove some of these stains. Sorry, that's loud. I want to remove some of these stains so that way I'm not just oiling them back into the surface of the shoe. This is a really, really pretty tan color. So we can see that, I mean, this is going to be under her buckle, so it's not super imperative that I do something with this, but we can see this staining right here. There's probably not a lot I can do to touch that, but once I start oiling it, hopefully I'll be able to just kind of like neutralize the way that stain is looking, like blend it a little bit, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I'm scrubbing. I'm sorry if that's loud. Oh, it's actually coming up. This is exciting. Ooh, y'all, I think we're gonna make these look fantastic. Like, don't be afraid. Like, leather's a pretty durable material, so don't be afraid to get in there and get stuff handled. You know what I mean? Like, once we start hitting this with that leather oil when we're all done, it's gonna look schmazing. All right, look at what happened. Yeah. I got that out of there pretty well. That's pretty awesome. I'm gonna do this other strap as well. So you can see like the difference in the strapping. So this has more of like a shiny finish to it. And then these ones have just over time kind of like just been loved hard. So I'm gonna try and get some of these dark marks up. And then I'm gonna go back in and re-oil the shoe. So if y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask. There's different things that we can use to oil these shoes. I'm probably first going to go over it with a little bit of just leather oil for oiled leathers and see how that turns my color. Then if I feel like I want it to be a little bit more intense or a little bit darker, then what I'll do is I will go over it with some Vaseline. But that's if and only if I don't like what the oil does. And I'm just going through here and, blending the finish of the leather, because I mean, I guess this is kind of like a work of art here. Like, I don't want to leave like really hard lines with what I was doing. Like, if you're going just one direction, then you're going to leave striation marks. But if you do more like swirly patterns, then that kind of just helps blend things a little bit better. Cleaning up some of this stuff here. I can hear people on the floor talking about how shoes have really helped them with their back pain and stuff like that. That's such an awesome thing. Like, isn't it crazy like how like a pair of shoes can change your whole life? Just blows my mind. Like, I don't know where this stuff was when I was working on my feet all the time when I was doing hair. It's just amazing. And the fact that these are like, you can like make these look semi brand new again is awesome. Like, we could recraft these, you know, put them on a brand new footbed. Now we can see the cork on here is very, very dry. We know that because, number one, can you hear that? If your cork clicks when you tap on it, that means it is dry. So we're gonna reseal that up. But these are old. Like, these are a very old pair. Like, they're probably gonna be due for a recraft pretty soon. But we're gonna love on them as much as we possibly can. Let's go ahead and pull out the oil here. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a old piece of t-shirt. And again, we've been doing this for a very, very long time, so we have all different kinds of products just chilling back here for us to be able to do the repairs. So some of the stuff that you see me use doesn't necessarily mean that I have it in store, but we do have like products. So don't ask me about the products that I'm currently using, because we don't have those anymore. But again, we do have stuff in the front so you guys can get yourself situated. So I just took some leather oil and I put it on the t-shirt. This is going to be the more mild way of getting the oil on here, because I don't want to go full force. I don't know how this color is going to take, and I don't want it to go like too crazy. So I'm just going to do little bits at a time, because you can always add more, but you can't take back. I mean, that's like lesson in lots and lots of areas. So we see it went on there pretty dark. However, I'm going to like really, really massage this in here, and I'm going to let it dry for a little bit and see what happens. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to the next shoe, and I'm going to clean up the leathers on the matching shoe here, and we will see what happens there. Yeah, so these shoes have definitely lived a long and happy life. So again, I have two different finishes here. I have a very porous finish on the ends here, and then this is very smooth. So I'm just going to try and even that out a little bit, so that way it just looks more even. I don't know how else to describe that. And then I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see that there's some water staining here. So I'm going to try to lift some of that out using the Nubuck block, because I don't want to set those in with oil. So far, I'm looking at how that leather is drying, and I really like it. So, again, just erasing the finish. Again, we don't want to leave striation marks, right? So if you see that, it's becoming really liney, I don't know. Anyways. You're seeing lines in it. We don't want that. We want it to look blended, so that way it has a more of an even finish to it. I'm really concentrating on where the water spots are, and just like trying to soften the look of that as much as I possibly can, because I want this to look like really awesome aged leather. That's the glory of the oiled leathers, is that you can affect the way that they look just by simply adding or removing oils. If I don't like the way that the finish comes out on this, I can always tone that down, but I think that that's really pretty, and it was pretty similar to like, so I don't know if you can see that. So I haven't yet touched this strap. I'm trying to show you. It's a little bit darker here, not quite this dark, but I can tone that down. So we're gonna see what it looks like when we're done. Oops. Shari?
Yeah.
How old do you think this particular color is? I don't even know the name of this color.
That looks like that might have been a cocoa, which they haven't done cocoa in probably about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
At least. But it came out so light, but I think that was, I'm almost certain that was cocoa.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at the color. Here, we can always see under the buckle what the original color was.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I'm dealing with light here. Do you see how dark that is right there?
Yeah, so I think that was cocoa for sure.
Yeah. So, they have probably had these might have already been recrafted at one point, because what will happen is we recraft them and we clean the leathers, and the uppers will sand a lot of times, and then we use the leather oil to bring back the life of the shoe. So this is what the original color was, and this is where we're at now. So I'm not even worried about going too dark on these shoes with the oil, because if we look, it's really not that far off. So we will go at that with some leather oil. I am going to sign off here for just a second, because I need to go help do some stuff in the front. I will be back here in just a little bit, after having put a little bit more work into these shoes. But let me just, I gotta go help Tashari out with some stuff. So I will be back here in just a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. Give me like 10 minutes and I'll be right back, okay?